Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. The adapter to my phone decided to crap out, so I'm using my big webcam on my big computer to record this. So the audio quality might not be the best, but we have to adapt and survive, baby. That's how we do it. But we've got our Saturday previews to talk about in this one. We got 2 previews today, 2 previews on Sunday, so make sure you're watching accordingly. If you want Quad City in Orlando or Fishers in Arizona, that's a separate video. This one's Tucson in New Mexico and Green Bay in Iowa. So, we need to go talk those 2 games, obviously everything that goes along with it, rosters, our bet and prediction, and I guess anything and everything in between. So, let's dive in. Alright, so we need to talk about the first game on our schedule here, and we head west, which is weird because you normally see like the Eastern games going first, but we're actually heading west for this first one. We have a 5 p.m. Eastern time kickoff, and I want to make a note of that because I thought I saw something where New Mexico said something where it's 3 o'clock Mountain Time, but then again you get into daylight savings and stuff like that, so maybe this isn't the correct time for it. I'm not sure, but I still have it down as 5 p.m. Eastern time if the time has changed. Yes, the game is in a couple of hours or a day or whatever, but at the same time, just check your clocks. Just make sure you're doing the same thing if you're in New Mexico or any of the other surrounding areas. But we have the 0-1 Tucson Sugar Skulls taking on the 0-1 New Mexico Chupacabras, where this game will be broadcast on Yahoo Sports, and someone here is going to have to get a win. Both teams looked all right in their first games. New Mexico nearly pulling out the victory, Tucson having to come back against Vegas, but that comeback fell very, very short as Vegas was kind of running away with it at that point. But for the most part, someone here is going to get a win in the win column and actually kind of put themselves in a playoff spot. So I know it's very early to be talking about that, but we are actually 4 weeks in. We are a quarter done with this season after this week. Crazy to think about, but for the most part, we need to talk our season leaders for both sides. For Tucson, it is Draylon Ellis, 17 of 25 passing, 173 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jerome Johnson for the Chupacabras, 12 of 22, 134 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Taking a look at our rushing leaders for both teams. For Tucson, it is Draylon Ellis. Again, 9 carries, 22 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. And the James White for New Mexico, 5 carries, 51 yards. He had that beautiful, pretty much coast-to-coast touchdown, and that was his one touchdown, so to speak. Taking a look at our receiving leaders, Brian Smith, 7 catches, 67 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns for the Sugar Skulls, and for the Chupacabras, Damon Street, 4 catches, 85 yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. So, both teams putting up some offensive stats. We'll see how that can come to fruition for both sides here in a minute. Taking a look at our injury report for both sides. Tucson hasn't really had anything to update. Tavion Thomas, Michael Todd, Deshaun Holt, and Amon Lyons have been on there. That was the last week or so. And then for New Mexico, they've added quite a bit to their short-term and season injured reserve here. Walter Wilbon, Dante Ogburn, and Jordan Washington, they've been retroactively added from March 20th to the short-term injured reserve list. Michael Goss has been put on season injured reserve as of about a week ago. And Wes Bowers, the most recent casualty here from March 28th, he is on short-term injured reserve too. So New Mexico and Tucson have only played 1 game each. They already have 9 combined players on injured reserve. So injuries hit hard and fast when it comes to both of these sides. And not to say the spell doom and gloom for both of these teams, but you need some health early on in the season because you can't be doing this and then having more injuries throughout the year. So we'll see how it goes. Excuse me. Taking a look at our game odds here, presented by DraftKings. Again, 5 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. We don't have a spread. That's how even Vegas thinks that these 2 teams are. So we pretty much have a pick'em here. We have an over/under of 84.5 with money line set minus 110 for each side. So take your pick on who you think is going to win, or if you think both teams are going to score more than 84.5 total combined points, or under. Simple as that. We are at the Tingley Coliseum in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Again, you can catch this game on Yahoo Sports Network. And our series head-to-head, as I'm going to do all year, this isn't going to be a new thing. I'm including Duke City's stuff. Excuse me, I do apologize. I'm including Duke City's stuff in the head-to-heads. I'm considering New Mexico a continuation of Duke City. Granted, it's a rebrand and everything like that, but the ownership changed hands. This is not a brand new team coming from thin air. So it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. But I'm including Duke City here. But regardless, we have a 7-4 head-to-head victory in favor of the Tucson Sugar Skulls. However, New Mexico / Duke City did win the final meeting between the two until their meeting now. Week 16 of 2024, the Gladiators at the time 44-32 over Tucson. But new year, couple new years, we'll see new ownerships, new teams, new whatever, new rebrands, even new rebrand with the logos with Tucson. But with that, we'll see how this one goes, as we'll see if New Mexico can keep those winning ways going, or if Tucson has something to say to increase their head-to-head lead to 8-4 and pretty much a 2-1 ratio. So that's where we have it. With this, we need to take a look at our 25-man rosters, take a look at our bet and our prediction, and we still have another preview to go along with this one. All right, we need to talk 25-man rosters here as they're both in front of us. Taking a look at the away side first, Draylon Ellis and Casey Otto for the Tucson Sugar Skulls for the quarterback position. Ellis getting the start in the first game. I don't see them really changing anything. We'll see how it kind of goes, but if they do make the change, I mean, we'll see who comes out with the first snap, but my money's still on Ellis to go. We do have a little bit of a change at the running back position. Tyler King no longer there. Brandon Mackey is your sole running back. So we will see how that kind of translates when it comes to how they want this offense to kind of go. Is it going to revolve around Mackey, or are we going to see more of a passing attack? Or are we going to see more of a dual threat with Ellis taking off and running? It remains to be seen, but we'll kind of monitor how that kind of goes in this game. Wide receivers, we actually have an addition. Brian Smith, Tamarian Terry, Jerron Waters, Demisio Ewing, Journey Sloan, and former San Diego Strike Force, Javian Lofton Wilson. So that is a pretty good on-paper wide receiving core. Can the quarterback get the passing lanes? Can they get the timing? Can they get the chemistry? Can they get everything going? We'll see if Lofton Wilson plays. But when you look at that just on paper with some of the veteran presence with Smith, Terry, Ewing, Sloan, and now Lofton Wilson, that's a really good wide receiving core. I'm curious to see how this is going to go against the secondary of New Mexico and how they're planning on doing it. So Tucson might be doing the thing that the Western Conference is. We're just going to load up on wide receivers and a quarterback and just sling it all around. We'll see. Offensive line, Thomas Prater, Evan Greathouse, Q Baker, and Deshaun Jackson. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's been Greathouse, Baker, and Jackson being the starters. If I remember in their first game, I cannot remember if Prater started, but again, three of those guys, I know Greathouse and Baker started, and then Prater and Jackson, one of those guys is going to start. One of those is probably going to be your super sub, and that's your offense for Tucson. Taking a look at the defensive side, you got three guys that need to start on the defensive line, and I believe it was Rafiq Abdul-Wahid, Dejiman Brooks, and Isaac Anderson, with Takei's Legs being your super sub on the defensive line. Octavius Brothers and Deshaun Jackson, my goodness, look at the NFL in me coming out. Deshaun Davis playing at the linebacker spot, and I want to say Brothers was the starter, but I cannot remember. I think both players suited up. But, excuse me. I want to say, I know Brothers was out on the field, but I can't remember if Davis started or not, or if he played. I think he played, but we'll see how that one goes. I think Brothers was the starter. Do not quote me on that. In the secondary, Rion Murray, Kendrick Gladney, Aaron Jackson, Jalen Jordan, and Zachariah Twardowski. Twardowski, I believe, got the start with Murray, Gladney, and Jackson. So again, kind of a little thin on the defensive side of the ball, but you should have your three super subs right there with the defensive line, linebacker, and the secondary position. Jalen Jordan most likely slotting into that position. It's not a bad secondary. I know I've said that before, but overall, if you can kind of corral those wide receivers of New Mexico, kind of see how it goes. Rounding it out is Kevin Macias as your kicker, and that is your 25-man roster for the Tucson Sugar Skulls. Now, we need to take a look at New Mexico, and this team is thin. And when I was looking at the rosters and I was looking at all the transactions and everything, I only counted 22 players. Now, could there be more players that we don't know about? Sure. We don't know, but with the rosters turned in and everything like that, I only counted 22. So, bear with me. It could be different, but this is as accurate as I can get it. We'll see how it goes come game time. We'll see. But on the offensive side for New Mexico, Jerome Johnson and Donovan Portieri to round it out. Johnson most likely getting the start, Portieri being the backup. running back, which is still listed as a defensive back on their website, with James White. Wide receivers, C.J. Jefferson, Demond Street, Isaac Crocker, and David Brown to round it out. So, again, 3 of those guys are going to start. One's going to be your sub. And not a lot of depth at the offensive line either. Roderick Williams, Arthur Chandler, and Ryan Franz, a new signing, which I think he's been in some camps before. I don't remember if he's started any games, but he has seen some camps or some off-season signings, I guess. I don't know if he's gotten any game time or anything, but regardless, not a lot of depth at that offensive side of the ball. You got some super subs and the quarterback wide receiver position. That's really it. Taking a look at the defensive side of the ball, Maurice Jackson, Keandre Hall, Luke Kelly, Allen Love, and new signing Yuka Anya for the defensive line. So again, the defensive line looks pretty good. Anya being added as a veteran talent to go along with Jackson, Hall, and Love. Kind of see how that pertains. But again, not a lot of depth at this position, or not a lot of depth at this team right now. Marvin Pierce, your linebacker, taking place of Wesley Bowers as well. He's on short-term injured reserve, so you're already going to have people step up. Like I said, this team is thin. They've already got 5 people injured. I mean, you hate to see that 2 games into the season, but you got to play it. Secondary, Jasius Clark, Gleason Sprewell, Greg Dent Jr., new signee and old boss from Duke City. He's been around. He is a veteran of the game. And they're just trying to rehash old things when they had Jason Serta in the offseason. Now Greg Dent. I mean, I'm waiting for Dello Davis and a trade for Nate Davis, if I dare say so myself. But regardless, Greg Dent added to the secondary. We'll see if he splits time between that and wide receiver, because he did that at Duke City as well back in the day. John Washington and Tycorian Brown rounded out in that secondary, with your kicker being Ben Derby. And that is your 25-man roster for your New Mexico Chupacabras, your 25-man roster for your Tucson Sugar Skulls. With that, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction and kind of preview how this game is going to go. And then we still have one more game to go after this. All right. Bet and prediction time. And again, with this one being a pick'em, you just have to pick them. And I'm picking Tucson, mainly just due to the fact of the attrition that New Mexico has already gone through. Yes, you have a pretty inexperienced quarterback, dare I say, in Draylon Ellis. He did all right. You know, you're going up against the defending IFL champs, that just got kind of showed up a little bit against Green Bay. They expected to probably win that game. They were mad. They're coming off a bye week. Tucson had so many self-inflicted wounds that Vegas took advantage of. You just kind of threw the kid to the buzzsaw. This could be a better game for him, matching up against a defense that, for all intents and purposes, doesn't really, they have depth, but they don't have a lot of depth. And we'll see what goes on with the Greg Dent situation if he's playing wide receiver and defensive back, if that wears him down. Otherwise, you got 2 defensive linemen that are going to be subs and 1 secondary player who's going to be a sub. We'll see how worn out the offense gets as well, because you only have the 3 offensive linemen. You don't want any injuries, man. I mean, I am not rooting for injuries. No one roots for injuries. But at the same time, I counted 22 players. That's who you're suiting up. Unless there's anyone else that we don't know about, a late emergency addition or anything like that. I gotta pick Tucson based on sheer numbers, and I like the talent that they have at the wide receiver position. I think Tucson's wide receivers can kind of wear down that defense. And if that offense can't get going against Tucson's defense for New Mexico, Tucson's defense is nothing to sneeze at either. I mean, you've got a pretty good defensive line with Abdul Wahid, DeJamin Brooks, and Isaac Anderson playing there. Anderson looked all right last week, or in the last game. But for the most part, I mean, I like the secondary. I think the secondary can corral those wide receivers. Yes, you have C.J. Jefferson. Yes, you have Demond Street. But is that just first game jitters? Is that going up against an Orlando team that was still trying to get their act together too? Yes, Tucson is still trying to get their act together as well. But I kind of like what Tucson has. There's a reason why there's a pick'em. I kind of like Tucson a little bit more. I don't really have much more of an explanation than that. It could go completely the opposite way, though. We do know that New Mexico has a very veteran quarterback, an MVP quarterback in Jerome Johnson. Does he have to play hero ball in this one? The James White broke off a huge run, but other than that, he really didn't do much in the running game. And same thing with Jerome Johnson. He had that huge run to start the game against Orlando, but other than that, the running game kind of faltered. Yes, you had C.J. Jefferson and Demond Street kind of show out a little bit, but are they going to maintain that for a second straight week? We know Tucson's defense is susceptible. They gave up 64 points So again, this could backfire in my face, and this could go with New Mexico. That offense does look good, but if that offense is out there all the time, are they going to get worn down? I don't know. If they're facing 3-and-outs all the time, is that defense going to get worn down? I don't know. And the same can be said for Tucson as well. I mean, that's not just exclusive. It's a game by game thing. Like, teams get worn down. Teams wear each other down. So I'm not sure. I really don't know. But I do like Tucson just a little bit better in this one. I'm not shocked at all if the defense of New Mexico does stand up. They only gave up 41 points to Orlando, and one of those was a kick return for a touchdown. A lot of those were the goal line stands where they were just handing it off to Puka Williams, and I mean, try and stop a yard. Puka Williams is going to get in those end zones. So it remains to be seen. If that defense of New Mexico can get after Draylon Ellis, kind of like how Vegas did a little bit, there's a chance that New Mexico, I'm not going to say they're going to run away with this. No. But there is a chance that New Mexico can have an opportunity here to score their first victory within their franchise's history. I know I combine that with Duke City, but for New Mexico's history, it'll be their first victory. They've got the talent to do it. This is an opportunity for them. This is one of those games where, as I've said in the offseason, leading up to points like this is a game where the Chupacabras need to win it. If you want a chance to be an expansion team to make the playoffs, you absolutely have to do this. Taking a look at the prediction here, I have Tucson 38-36. Like I said, I have Tucson winning this one, and on the other side too, we have a Tucson team that has been kind of in the dumps in the last couple of years too. So this is an important game for them to kind of turn their franchise around. New ownership, new coaches, new players, everything like that. It remains to be seen how both these teams are going to feel each other out. And I can't remember. I think they play 3 times this year. So this will be the first meeting of many. How do they kind of bounce around on each other? Kind of see how that goes. Not to mention, Ben Derby, he was hitting balls. He was hitting the crossbars more than he was making those field goals or anything like that. So he can get a little bit more accurate with it. Maybe it's just a different home venue compared to what he had in Vegas. Get the timing and stuff like that down. He might have a special teams thing up in his pocket, but not to be outdone, Kevin Macias has hit long field goals as well too. So we do have to be on the lookout when it comes to special teams. And yes, there is the opportunity New Mexico could give up another kick return touchdown. I don't necessarily see it, but when you have good returners, anything is possible. Tucson, they have some decent returners. Special teams will play a key role in this one, just like it does in every single game, but that's where we kind of have it with this one. I think Tucson, on paper, is just a better team. I think they're going to be a little bit better. Like I said, they ran into a buzzsaw compared to what Orlando was. And that's not to discredit Orlando by any means. They're a very good team within themselves. They were figuring themselves out on the road against New Mexico. So kudos to where that's due. Excuse me. But I just personally like Tucson a little bit more. I need to see it with New Mexico. They proved it a little bit. They were a field goal away from overtime and potentially winning their first game ever. Can they do it again? I'm not sure. I like Tucson just a little bit more. And that's the reason why it's a pick 'em. Like I said before, and like we've seen on the betting odds, that's the reason why it's a pick 'em. But that's where we have it with this one. We've got a 38-36 victory in favor of Tucson, and we've got Tucson money line. So, with that, we have a second preview to talk about. Let's go chat about our Eastern Conference rivals. All right, preview number 2. We head to the land of corn. We got the Green Bay Blizzard heading to Iowa 2-0 to take on the 0-1 Iowa Barnstormers. This is an 8 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on overnight. I will be at this game, and this will be fun. It's a nice little 3-hour drive going back to the motherland where I was born, and we'll see if Green Bay blows out Iowa. Now, this should be a very, very fun game because Iowa's going to try and get back on track here. Green Bay is looking to keep the ball rolling with what they've already done in the first 2 games of the season. And we'll just kind of see. Can it be an upset for the ages, or do we see Green Bay move to 3-0 and be a more of a contender in the East? We'll see how it goes. But for all intents and purposes, this rivalry is not going to stop anytime soon. Let's take a look at our season leaders here for both sides. Liam Thompson, 19 of 36, 239 yards, 5 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That's not bad for a guy who was a backup in Bay Area last year. Harrison Robideau for Iowa leaves a little bit to be desired. 9 of 23, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. His first start, can't really take too much away from it. We'll see how it kind of goes in this one, but we'll talk obviously more about that in a minute. Liam Thompson, your leading rusher for the Blizzard, 29 attempts, 144 yards, 6 touchdowns. Dude's got some big boy runs, and we'll see if he can carry more of that in this week. But for all intents and purposes, again, we'll talk about that in a minute, but he may have to. Harrison Robideau, 4 attempts, 16 yards, no touchdowns. And again, Iowa kind of abandoned. Excuse me. Iowa kind of abandoned the run game a little bit against Quad City in their first game. We'll see if they can establish more of it in this one. They might need to in order to keep this game from not really being a blowout. But again, we'll talk about that in a sec. Receiving yard leaders, Drayshawn Hudson, 5 catches, 84 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. And for the Barnstormers, Curtis Ravenel, 5 catches, 72 yards, and 1 touchdown. Not bad for your first day at the office there. And again, you got beyond the defense. So we'll see if he can get more of that. We know Green Bay's defense is pretty stout already, and that's what they do. But kind of see how that connection goes when it comes to the Iowa wide receivers with their quarterback. Taking a look at the injury report for both sides, we've got some additions. For Green Bay, Sal Malignaggi on season injured reserve. He is out for the year. Jawan Mitchell out for the year as well. And then short-term injured reserve, offensive lineman Andrew Carter. He can still hold even though he's injured. March 31st, he was added just a couple days ago. Short-term injured reserve and defensive back Dorian Davis added as well. So that's kind of a hit for a team that last season, they got hit by the injury bug quite a bit. We're talking like 6, 7, 8 injuries. I think they had 5 people on season injured reserve last season, and quite a bit more on short-term injured reserve. So you don't like to see that. We already talked in the previous preview about injuries and how it's already affecting them. You already have 4 people here for Green Bay. And your starting running back, your starting linebacker, man, that's a brutal hit already. So we'll see how they overcome that. To Iowa, Morian Walker and Taylor Hawkins are both ending their years early as well. Season under reserve for both those guys. So a guy who's, I hate to talk bad, but I haven't seen Morian Walker play in a couple of years. He's been on injured reports and stuff like that, or been released or refused reports. I'm not sure what's going on with him. I'm not trying to speak ill of him. I hope it doesn't come across that way. But to see him on a season injured reserve list, it sucks, man. It really does. It sucks really bad to see. I wanted to see him play because when I saw with him with the Rattlers, Taylor Hawkins is a huge hit to that secondary as well because he played pretty well against Quad City and he's played pretty well with Tulsa last season. Yeah, it sucks to get hit that quickly. So, what can you do? Take a look at the game odds here presented by DraftKings. Green Bay, minus 12.5. Almost a 2-touchdown favorite here. Iowa, almost a 2-touchdown underdog as they open their home slate. Does Vegas know something that we don't know? We do have an over-under of 88.5 and minus 410. If you want to bet a lot of money to get a little return, minus 410 for Green Bay on the road. If you want to bet an underdog and potentially win a lot of money for not a lot, plus 320 for Iowa. $10 bet gets you $32 plus your $10 back if you want to bet the home upset. Speaking of home, we are at the Casey's Center in beautiful Des Moines, Iowa. As stated previously, 8 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on overnight and our series head-to-head. I think this is the most played rivalry as both these teams, Green Bay dates back to what, 08? They're not one of the founding members of the IFL, but they came on really early in the Indoor Football League. And Iowa coming in as early as 2016, I believe. They've played each other a lot, 3 times, maybe 4 times a season, depending on how many teams are in the league. 18-15 in favor of the Blizzard. So what was at one point Iowa kind of dominating, now Green Bay kind of dominating. We'll see how things kind of go. Their last meeting being Week 12 of last year, Green Bay getting the victory 52-35. And that's where we have it with our preview portion of this. We need to go take a look at those 25-man rosters. We need to take a look at our bet and our prediction. And wrap everything up. We'll get out of here. All right, taking a look at our 25-man rosters for both sides. Speaking of the away side, first, for the Green Bay Blizzard, they've had some additions, and we need to talk about the defensive side of the ball and what that's going to entail. But start off with the quarterback. Liam Thompson going to get your start. Cole Stenstrom's going to be your backup. And Simple as that. I mean, that's how it's been the first 2 games. I don't really see any difference. Taking a look at the running back spot, DeMillan Brown, however it's pronounced, third string quarterback. He's off short-term injured reserve. He will now transfer to running back, and we'll see how that kind of pertains with Malignaggi being hurt and Kyrie Robinson being added from San Jose State. That name sounds familiar. I would watch some Mountain West After Dark and stuff like that, so I can't remember too much about him, but I remember that name. Now, I don't remember if he did good or not, but I remember that. And so we'll see how that kind of goes. Curious to see if he starts or if they get Brown to go, and how that running game kind of pertains to Liam Thompson, if he has to do it all himself, or how they kind of take the pressure off of him to be, your true dual threat. Taking a look at the wide receiving core, only one addition here. Sylvere Campbell is added back from short-term injured reserve. To add to that, though, Drayshawn Hudson, Trayvon Alexander, Isaac Ross, Terrell Carey, and Jack Studer to round it out. All of those guys have played at some point, so you can't play all of them. We'll see which ones kind of make the bench, which ones might not even suit up, and we kind of go from there. I mean, if you base it on the last 2 games, it'll be Hudson, Alexander, and probably Isaac Ross getting the plays, and we'll see. I mean, Carey didn't play last week. Studer had to go in for that because I think they were saying that Carey was on a honeymoon or something like that. He was taking something off, wedding, I can't remember. But regardless, that's where we have it for the wide receiving core. We'll see who suits up, who doesn't. Offensive line, again, takes a hit with Andrew Carter being hurt, but they don't lose a lot. Jamie Navarro, Delvin Salter, and Dakota White. White's been starting. Navarro's been starting. Devin Salter has been around the league for a long time, so yes, he just slots right in there. I mean, former what? Bay Area Panther, former Northern Arizona Wrangler. I mean, he's been around for a little bit, so you're not really losing too much with Andrew Carter coming out with Salter going in. Like you are, because you're losing an anchor of your offensive line. Carter's been around for a while, but Salter should fit right in. Defensive line, Tavon Grant, Jonathan Ross, Allen Henry, Jaquan Griffin, and Sean Mustin. No changes to the defensive line. We'll see who gets the starts. It's mainly been, Ross, Grant, and Mustin. Allen Henry and Griffin have kind of been your reserve pieces when it comes to that. We'll see how it kind of goes. Or if any of them suit up at linebacker. There's no linebacker stated right now. The what we have with Jawan Mitchell going out, if a defensive lineman suits up at linebacker, or if we have anyone in the secondary, which we'll talk about in a sec, but we'll see how it goes. And speaking of that secondary, Reggie Bracey, Ricky Pearson, Frankie West, Trenton McGee, Najai Snyder, and Giovanni Waller to round it out. One of those guys I think is going to be the linebacker. I think you're going to go more speed than you are power with it. I'm curious to see who gets to start at linebacker. I am, because I think for the first couple of weeks, it has been Pearson, Snyder, Waller, and I think West has been one of the starters as well when it comes to the secondary. We'll see if any of those guys slide in the linebacker spot. They did sign Trent McGee, former Jacksonville Shark. We'll see how it kind of goes with that. But for the most part, that's a position you got to figure out, and we'll see if Iowa can take advantage of it. Rounding it out is your kicker, Andrew Mevis, and that's your 25-man roster for your Green Bay Blizzard. Taking a look at the Iowa Barnstormer side of things, quarterbacks Ivan Corbin Jr. and Harrison Robideau. Robideau's most likely going to get the start. Corbin has kind of been your Swiss Army knife. I saw him play special teams. I saw him play running back, wide receiver. Like they were putting him all over the field. So whether or not he actually plays at the quarterback position remains to be seen, but he should have a spot somewhere on the field throughout this game. Nice Bryant Lele will be your running back. Again, Maureen Walker going out, so you're going to have to rely on your running back a little bit. And we take a look at our wide receivers. No changes here to my knowledge. DeMonte Martin, Donald McKinney, Josh Simmons, Curtis Ravenel Jr., and Raheem Harvey to round it out. And we'll just kind of see how that pertains. If we can get some more accuracy and more chemistry built in the last week or so, kind of remains to be seen. On the offensive line, again, no changes here. Nicholas Orr, Tyler Castaneda, McLean Doja, and Tyrone Chambers to round it out, with those bottom three, Castaneda, Doja, and Chambers, most likely being your starters. To the defensive line, Jacarius Smith, Tyler Tate, PK Akayensu, and Jared Johnson. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's been Smith, Tate, and Johnson to start with, Akayensu kind of filling in the gaps when needed. Linebacker being Austin Edmonds, and in the secondary, Amon Ross, Khalil Finley, Terry Jones Jr., Trayvon Pope, Jazeer Merrick's, and new signing Richie Coffey. So, Richie Coffey, again, just another former Jacksonville Shark. You add that with Amon Ross, and we're pretty much playing with Jacksonville secondary the last couple of seasons when it comes to this game. We'll see how it kind of goes. But is that enough on that secondary side to stop the wide receivers for Green Bay? We'll figure it out. Last but not least, your kicker is Gabriel Reed. That is your 25-man roster for your Iowa Barnstormers. That is your 25-man roster for your Green Bay Blizzard. And with that, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction because that spread is wild. You need to go take a look at that, and then we'll wrap everything up. We'll get out of here. All right, bet and prediction time for this one. Under 88.5. So, what this is entailing is if you're going to split it right down the middle, both teams need to score 44 points or some variation of that. Now, it's not going to be split evenly down the middle, so you're pretty much asking Green Bay to score anywhere between 50, 55 points, give or take, and Iowa to score another 35, give or take, so 56 to 35 roughly. I don't know if Green Bay is going to score that many. I don't know if they're going to take their foot off the gas. They can. They can easily score. I'm not saying they're not going to, but they can easily score that. I don't know if they're going to. And then again, Iowa only held to, 27 points against Quad City. Can Iowa score more points? This does have some trouble brewing because there could be some garbage time touchdowns. There could be some special teams touchdowns. There could be some things and some factors that I'm personally not thinking about because I think Green Bay is just going to win this. I think it's going to be somewhere 49 to what have you. Spoiler alert for the prediction here in a minute. Excuse me. But I like the under in this one because I do think that Iowa can put up points. There can be some garbage time touchdowns, but I think Green Bay is just going to kind of take this. Yes, there's been some injuries to both sides, but Taylor Hawkins is a huge hit for Iowa, but other than that, they don't really lose much. And for the Barnstormers, it comes down to, are they still building more chemistry? Like I talked on Wager Wednesday with Trey from Off the Wall and with Alec from Sports Coast to Coast. Go check that out, shameless plug. While we were talking, it's just come to my attention that Iowa needs to run the ball. They absolutely need to run the ball in this game, and Trey mentioned it as well, so shout out to him. But it's the worst-kept secret, one of the very worst-kept secrets. You got to run the ball. You have to run the ball. Run the damn ball, put on the hat that says it, and just... You've got to be able to establish this game. You have to take control because we know that Green Bay, and I'm speaking on Iowa's behalf, if you are Green Bay, you know you can kind of do whatever you want. You've been able to do it the first two games that you've had. They've been able to run. They've been able to throw. Their special teams has been able to return kicks, not for touchdowns, but huge returns against Vegas. I think they had a couple of decent returns against Fishers as well. The team is rolling on all cylinders. Iowa needs to put a kibosh to that. They need to sustain long drives here, run the ball, convert third downs, get into third and manageable, third and shorts, and convert them to keep that offense off the field. Liam Thompson is going for a damn MVP right now in the first quarter of the season. He's most likely to win it if the season ended today, man. It's insane. So it's going to be a huge task for this defense. Ja'Karius Smith, Jared Johnson, Tyler Tate, even that secondary. You need Amon Ross. You need Richie Coffey. You need these guys to step up and stop these wide receivers. Drayshawn Hudson, Terrell Carey, Traylon Alexander. These guys can break out. There's no doubt about it. It's up to that defense. Can Austin Edmonds read Liam Thompson? It's going to be on his shoulders too. We're talking about a guy, a rookie, going up against Liam Thompson, who as of right now is a rookie, but has also been in Bay Area. He's watched teams that have done stuff like this. He's been part of playoff teams and what have you. Can you corral him? Can you corral him? Because if Green Bay gets the running game going, it's pretty much a death sentence. Because once they get the running game going, you have no idea if they're going to hand it off to DeMilo Brown. You have no idea if they're going to hand it off to... Excuse me, I do apologize about my throat. It's not getting better. But, are they going to hand it off to their San Jose State running back, whose name is escaping me right now? I'm sorry. But if they do that, it's pretty much a death sentence. Because once you get that two-headed dual threat with that and Thompson running, now you're opening up the passing game. Now you're opening up jet sweeps. You got to stop it. Easier said than done. I get it. On the other side of the ball, too, you've got to get more chemistry with Iowa. You've got to. You got to get that offense going. You can't have only 9 completions and 20-plus passing attempts. Green Bay will eat you alive. My prediction for this one, before we get into the Green Bay side of things, 49-34 in favor of the Blizzard. So if you want to take that for what it's worth, that's a 15-point spread. So Green Bay covers the spread there as well. But taking a look at the Blizzard, too, what you also need to look at here is what they have in terms of their defense. It's nasty, but we don't know who's playing linebacker. And while that, again, is not a death sentence per se, can Iowa take advantage of that? That's one of the positions. We know that the secondary is pretty good. Adding Trenton McGee as well as one of those things, too, where it's just more firepower for that secondary. Can you shut down those wide receivers? Iowa's wide receivers leave a little bit to be desired. They look all right on paper, but they're not blowing you away by any means. We're calling a spade here, guys. But that defensive line for Green Bay, if they can get to Robidoux, if they can just blow up that offensive line, it's curtains. That's why you need long, sustained drives. That's why that offense needs to be able to come out, attack, and not just the cool metalcore band, but you need to attack this team. You need to attack Green Bay. They're just going to eat you alive. That offensive line is hurt. Can you take advantage of that with the defensive line for your Iowa? I don't know. But, 49-34, I do have it kind of respectable. Again, you can add another touchdown to that. If you truly wanted to, it's 56-39, and doing quick math, or 56-34, excuse me. That's 89. So that gets you right there. That gets you at the over. I don't want that. So maybe get another touchdown. You can add or another field goal, 52-34. Like I said, I think Green Bay's got this one in the bag. Everyone kind of knows it already, but stranger things have happened. I'm not trying to count Iowa out just yet, but at the same time, Green Bay has just been a dominant force here. And I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to discredit Iowa. They've got a long way to go. They've been down in the dumps for a while. If you can shock your rival at home when you open the season, it remains to be seen, but kind of go from there. But it's just going to be tough sledding, especially if Green Bay gets rolling like they've done against Fishers, like they've done against, who else did they play? I'm blanking on who else they played. Oh my goodness. People are going to roast me in the comments. Who's their second game? Anyway, I'm wasting time. All right, roast me in the comments. I completely blanked on who else they've played. Because they played Fishers. Oh, Vegas. How could I forget the Vegas game? My God, I'm stupid. My brain does not function. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah. How could I forget the Fishers game? Anyway. Yeah, Green Bay's played some really good teams so far. Iowa's just played Quad City, who's been a good team in their own right, but Green Bay's been through the ringer already, man. So we'll see if more comes to fruition with that. But anyway, I've rambled on enough with my stupidity. Let's go wrap. There it is again. Let's go wrap everything up. Let's get out of here. All right, time to wrap everything up and get out of here. And again, I want to apologize about the audio issues and the video issues and stuff like that. I'm probably just going to have to go bite the bullet and grab a new phone and grab a new microphone and adapter and stuff like that and just kind of go about it, because this sounds horrible, man. If you made it through this, kudos to you. It means a lot, but I pride myself on trying to be not perfect, but I want good audio. Someone who listens to music all the time, I want good audio, I want good sound. This isn't it. But to the games, we'll see. Like, we got one that looks very intriguing, one that looks more or less not necessarily like a scrimmage. I'm not going to say that. No one said that. But Green Bay should be able to take care of business in that one. I'm not trying to add bulletin board material or anything like that. Iowa should be good, but I think Green Bay is just the better team in that one. But the first game, maybe some fireworks. I want to see how New Mexico and Tucson kind of battle each other right there. But with that, I'm going to get out of here. I got a long drive tomorrow, and I will see you guys in Des Moines to watch this Blizzard and Iowa game. Just go back to the place where I spent a couple of years before I moved out to Kansas and cultivated my life, I guess. I don't know. I'm just speaking out of my ass right now. So, anyway, I'm going to get out of here, guys. I was rambled on long enough. But with that, I love and appreciate you. If you want, you can like, comment, share, subscribe. If you don't, you don't. But, yeah, we got recaps with this. We got previews with the two games on Sunday with Quad City and Orlando. We got preview with Fishers in Arizona. So try and be on the lookout for that. I'll see if I can plug this into my laptop and maybe get better audio and better recording with that instead of this huge computer. That sucks. But anyway, ramble on, get out of here. With that, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next preview. I'll see you in the recaps. And last thing, shameless plug, I went to a National Arena League game. If you guys want to watch that, it's on the channel. I don't want to plug it too much since this is more indoor football centric, but I did have the time of my life. My daughter had the time of her life, and family is very important. So take your kids to a game, take your significant other to a game, take your family to a game, take your dad, take your brother, take whatever. Grow the game. Grow the indoor game. Grow the arena game. Grow all of that. It means the world to the players, to the coaches, to the owners, to the community. Get out there, watch these games. I'm doing my part. I want you guys to do your part so you're not Tim Robinson, not doing F and S. Hopefully you get the reference without the cussing. But anyway, I'm going to take off, you guys. Love you. See you.